You're good to go, Rats.
Hi, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining in. My name is Rats. People know me as Ratheesh Krishnan. I have an hour to perhaps drill down a perspective, offer you a meal, or perhaps show you some dance moves because I know most of you may be tuning in live right now. So thank you so much for that. Some of you may actually be tuning in right now from certain devices, and you just need to know how much I've gone through to actually make this happen. Just in case you didn't know, so I don't use a laptop. Don't ask me why. I've been trying to move away from it for the longest period of time. And I've been on my phone and running all my businesses through the phone. And I thought, what would be the fantastic way to make this happen? So I came all the way to the outskirts of Chennai, found a person who could donate this laptop, and I had the Code Zone team patch me onto Discord, and I thought I'll just quickly make a mind map for you and show you what non-bullshit innovation is. Why is this example important? This example is important because if you remove me from the equation, everything that I just told you is how you may pursue or perceive innovation to behave or become in your future. And that, my dear boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in the LGBTQ AI plus community, is non-bullshit innovation. I don't know if you can see this mind map. Sagar, can you just give me a confirmation that this is visible? Because I can't see my face.
Yeah, Ratheesh, it is visible.
Super. So welcome to non-bullshit innovation. The time is 16:33 hours in my laptop, and I'd like to begin with a couple of not. I'm thinking for the right word. Give me a second. Not foreseeable words. So in my 10-year journey with innovation, I've been a creator of innovation, I've been a receiver of innovation, I've been a responder to innovation, I've also been a consumer of innovation. Let's remove the word innovation and just look at these words for who they are and what they are. Creator, did I make something innovative? Yes, I did. Did I receive something innovative and perhaps audit it and give my feedback? Definitely that. Did I respond to innovation? Definitely. Demonetization in India, COVID crisis, and the fact that all of you are trying to solve for a better humanity right now. We're all responders to an innovative crisis. Am I a consumer? The laptop, the internet, the phone, YouTube, Facebook, the fact that we're using technology right now to become closer to one another. I'm definitely a consumer of innovative products and services. I'm sure all of you are someone amongst these four. You may be all the four, and you may be amongst the three. Whoever you are, here's a perspective. I'd like you to think about these folks. Who are these folks? I've had the opportunity in the last 10 years to work with innovators, epidemiologists, researchers, craftsmen, artists, scientists, and most importantly, people with a huge common sense and very less ego and a large, humble, behavioring system, which we call the user interface, relationship. And all of these people who have cracked the code of innovation do these four things very, very well. What do? They're usually figuring the unknown. And what I mean by unknown here is, okay, forget what I want to tell you. What they define as unknown is a problem that may occur in the future. This is one definition for unknown. A second definition for unknown is what you think you need a solution for that no one else has thought about. That's the second category of unknown. So you perceive it as known, but for generally the world it's unknown. And then there is the general unknown for the world. These inventors slash scientists, researchers, artists, epidemiologists, and perhaps scientists behave and become the future that does not exist today. They usually fight for something. And I can give you like a ton of movie reference. If you look at A Theory for Everything, if you look at the Nat Geo series on Genius, if you really look at any kind of revolutionary person, and a classic example, since we are in the month of August and we are in India, Dr. Ambedkar, he actually fought for a constitution which was something that was fundamental to the way we should be behaving in a nation. So they always fought for something. Did they exploit a crisis? Hell yes, they exploited a crisis. They looked at crisis as an opportunity and said, here is the world or perhaps life presenting itself in the most uncommon manner. How can I use this as an opportunity and how can I exploit this? And the word exploitation here is smelling the opportunity, doing something with the solutioning, and most importantly, having a large mindset on iterating and failing forward. What's my invitation to you today? My invitation to you today is to think about innovation as a lens. Do you see my glasses? I don't know where I bought this, but these glasses offer not just a perspective, but help me adjust the perspective a certain way. Now, if I had a red glass, how would the world appear? The world would appear red. If I had a blue glass, the world would appear blue. If I had a black glass, the world would appear dark. And if I have a transparent glass, not if, I do have a transparent lens right now, the world appears clearer. So there is a ambiguity if I look at the world like this, and that ambiguity has been translated into clarity. The fact that I'm able to see something clearly. What I offer you is a spectacle or a lens like this. And my invitation to everyone who's listening to me at any given point in time, you may be rewatching this as well, is think about it as a perspective. This is one possibility amongst different ways of looking at innovation, exclusively in a non-bullshitty manner. Now, if you don't apply anything that I tell you today, or offer or you take the perspective and not look at the world from this perspective, you're not going to lose anything. Except the time that you have used today, the energy that you have actually consumed from this knowledge, everything will get rusted. And a rusted iron is no use to itself and no use to the world. My humble request is that you think about it as a perspective or look at it as an application thesis. And what I mean by an application thesis in this conversation today between you and me is see what you can do with it rather than think about it. Let me give you an example. I don't know how many of you are perhaps used to bicycling. I remember the time when I learned how to bicycle. I found my neighbor having the most attractive cycle. It was a girl, and she had one of the most gorgeous looking bicycles that I have ever seen. Had I ever seen a bicycle before? No. Was it the first time I was in witness to such an instrument? Yes. And I went and told my dad, I need a cycle. He said, okay, great. The cycles for you don't look like that. I'll go and get you a cycle, but do you know how to ride a cycle? I said, this is the first time I'm listening to the word ride, and I was really young then. So what do you mean by riding a cycle? He said, okay, great. I will get you a cycle from our neighbors, and I'll teach you how to ride a cycle. He sat me down on the cycle, and he said, why don't you hold your handle here, look forward, and start pedaling. I started pedaling, and guess what happened? I fell down. I started pedaling again, I fell down. I started pedaling again, and I fell down. I fell down almost 14 to 15 times to blame my dad that he was not offering the help or he was a bad teacher. And my dad used an extremely important word that day, which went on to define what lens meant to me. He said, "Have you heard of balance?" Yeah, what? He said, "Have you heard of balance?" I said, "I don't know what you mean." He said, "If you don't fall left and if you don't fall right, then you have balance." That's it. He didn't explain Newton's laws of motion. He didn't talk to me about how tangential inertia might impact the way I tilt. He never spoke to me about why riding bicycles is an art of center of gravity being balanced with the center of mass. All he said is, if you fall to the left or to the right, you don't have balance. If you did not, you have balance. I said, great. And did I get balance? Yes, I fell down another 15, 20 times. But I got balance. I never understood balance. What I want to tell you here is there is no way to understand innovation. You have to either get innovation or you don't get innovation. It's as simple as that. But once you get innovation, you can ride a cycle, you can ride a bike, you can ride a moped, you can, join racing, you could do anything with a two-wheeled instrument. That's the beauty of getting something. And I don't know if you may understand what I'm explaining today. And my request is don't even try to. Just get it or don't get it. And the best way to do that is the magic word that you see here on your screen called apply. In this context, how should I learn? Of course, my dad told me how to get balance and how not to get balance. So here's me telling you how you can learn. At the end of this conversation, go have a debate with someone where either you are playing for or someone's playing against, and have that conversation. That conversation can catalyze perspectives, can help you realize what you don't know very well, and can also offer questions that can deepen your understanding of that subject. And in this case, it's innovation. Have a discussion, and you debate with folks who share an opposite point of view. You have discussions with those who share the same point of view so that you know the variety at which you need to learn something, and debate offers you the depth at which you need to learn something. Is it good enough? Not yet, because the only thing that's constant is change. And I learned that from this great Disney Pixar movie called Ratatouille, where Remy tells his dad that change is the only thing that's constant. And if you don't change, then something will change you. So either you need to embrace change or know how to handle change, which leads to adaptation, survival of the fittest, and then you become an evolutionary creature. There you can hack evolution, or change becomes you and you become a victim and you're consumed by the change to fuel the evolution. Therefore, you either get negated or you actually become part of the molding process. So far, I'm just going to give you a quick run through because we've done 15 minutes of discussion. What have we seen? We've seen that innovation, wait, give me a second. Oh, okay, this is better. We've seen that if you want to really talk about non-bullshit innovation, you have to play all the four roles. The roles are being a creator, a receiver, a responder, a consumer. But here's the clue, and listen to this very carefully. I don't know if you're seeing the video from this point, but listen. You should know for which innovation are you a consumer and for which innovation are you a creator. I might be using 3D printing to make something, but I might just be the receiver of electronic or technological innovation. I might actually be a vegan, so I'm responding to an innovation in food, but I might absolutely not know anything about, how vegan foods are classified as vegan foods. Similarly, Who are the true innovators? The true innovators are the people not defined by these roles that I just told you. These are people that when you describe to your friend, I met this person. Is this person figuring something out of the unknown? Is this person fighting for something? Is this person creating a future that does not exist today? Is this person exploiting a crisis? If these are the descriptors that you're going to explain to someone who that person is and what that person does, then you are in the midst of an innovator. What am I offering you today? I'm offering you a lens. And this lens offers a perspective. It also offers your ability to apply something. If you don't pick up the perspective and apply it, it becomes rust, no use to the world, no use to you. And finally, what do you think is the best way to learn? Debate so that you can have the depth of the understanding. Discuss so that you can understand the breadth of the word or perhaps the concept that you're talking about. And finally, understand this depth and this breadth will keep changing and keep adding and removing. Look at it as a genome that you're constantly editing and you'll land up with every organized organism at any given point in time. Look at it like that. Now that we've seen this, let's go to the most fun part of this session, which is how does bullshit innovation look like? Now, my invitation to you while you are listening to this at this moment is pause this video, not right now, if you want to rewatch it. And every time I'm telling you something, go to Google, if you're on a laptop or a phone, and search for this word and understand what it truly means. Because what I can offer you, given the time frame that we have, is a taste, a sip, a quick bite, a crash course, or perhaps a sliver or a sneak peek into what bullshit innovation actually looks like. So you may want to take a screenshot, you may want to do a lot of stuff. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I'll open all of these things. Okay, so here you go. So this is the stack. This, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone from the LGBTQAI plus community, is truly the bullshit innovation of not just the year 2020, but in fact, they are the biggest bullshit in the 21st century. So I'm going to start with the mother of all, CES. For those of you who don't know CES, very good. You're in a best place. Ignorance is bliss. But if you know what CES stands for, my biggest humble opinion to you is stop following them. Because that's the mother of the bullshit innovation that happens on planet Earth. Who's who lands there? The ones with the money, the ones with the knowledge, the ones with the camaraderie, and the ones with the dexterity, all of them land there to perhaps see, observe, which is both the thing, taste, understand, which is to absorb and comprehend what's happening, on what the latest uptick or the uplift of innovation looks like. Last year, for CES 2019, we had a couple of ideas being celebrated, and these ideas that were celebrated were so revolutionary that I am puzzled who may actually use it. So let's start with the first one. So, radiation blocking underwear. If you have great genitals that you want to protect from radiation, and you have the most precious part of your identity being damaged by the evolutionary sunlight and the planetary motion of our solar system, you need this today. If you go to CES updates, you can see that there are startups working on radiation blocking underwear that will help you to have a great genital life. I'm not campaigning for them, but that's how it sounded. If you don't have time to open bottles, so this is a pen and assume this is a bottle. Okay, I have a bottle with me. This is a bottle. And if you don't have time to use this multifaceted interdisciplinary instrument, which are 5-sided and can actually be motile, which is hands, how kids may call it, you can actually use a smart bottle opener that you can use your phone and it will open the bottle. Why would you want to open the bottle using your phone? Because your hands are busy using the phone. Cat litter toilet. Cat poop stinks, your poop stinks, every animal poop stinks because they went through a fantastic digestive system. And if you need to clear your cat poop, you have a cat litter toilet that moves around like the Amazon shopping floor. Taking the cat poop and also disciplining your cat, the only thing the poop toilet is yet to do is to stick it to the cat so that the cat can poop into it all the time. Do you know that the most funded idea last year at CES was a smart juicer where you could actually pop a tablet using your phone? You could select the tablet and the juicer works through IoT and will take the capsule and convert it into a juice. So when you walk to a so-called water cooler, juicer, your kitchen, your juice is ready and waiting for you. The only addition that they are yet to make is to get the juice to fall into your system and transport it through air. So that is an example of what bullshit innovation looks like. Why am I perhaps pissed off is only because who needs them? And that's one question you will not find an answer to in such forums. Let's go to Kickstarter. Kickstarter is definitely getting better over the years. They did something when nobody did something, but you know what tends to happen is all of us end up becoming the person that we don't want to become. One of the biggest, funded campaign is a phone with a spoon. Why do you need a phone with a spoon? Because while you're using the phone and eating, how can you eat the cereal? You could only eat it with a spoon. And if the spoon is connected to your phone, I think you will have a fantastic time using the spoon and also not missing out on your phone. You see a lot of campaigns on Kickstarter, and these campaigns are usually gimmickry. And what I mean by gimmickry is they're trying to solve a problem that does not exist literally and is not truly useful for large scale people. And it exists to create a new need that perhaps will shift the consumer behavior, because they tend to think that what the consumer is doing today or what the user is doing today or what the target audience is doing today is the right thing to do. So giving you an example, why would you have phones with spoons? Because you have the human right to be distracted, and you should be distracted all the time. And when you want to eat the food that actually translates into energy and ATPs using your mitochondria, none of that matters because the phone is important. Not that I've got anything to do with the phone, but that activity takes the next precedent after phone. That's the only problem. The next innovation is something that I truly enjoy, and I can see the implications of it in my house itself. And in the future to come, you would see its implications just maximizing, how do I call it, mass hysteria, and it will also maximize your inability to spot truth, and that's what is deep fakes. So go to Google, like I told you, anything that I'm showing you here, you should go to Google search and you will find great content that describes it, trashes it, or explains to you why that's not the most important thing. So there's a David Beckham video where David Beckham eloquently and flamboyantly speaks in 9 international languages, and you see his lip sync matching with the intonation of the language. Now, how is that possible? That's only possible because of 2 things. That there is an algorithm that is working towards helping David Beckham look good or avoid looking bad in the context of speaking that language. It's a wonderfully made video, and that would help you in understanding a teaser into how much AI, machine learning, and most importantly image processing has gone to the depth of solving a problem where you are given the illusion that it is being solved, but it is not true. The next name, I'm not going to take the pain of spelling that name, is Russian. Um, So-called data scientist. He did a lot of work where you could draw something and it can immediately be translated into real imagery. Google's using that right now. But the best part is, I'm sure you must have seen a lot of the apps circulating today where your face can be superimposed with Tom Cruise's face, where you can't spot the difference between two individuals made to look alike. A lot of CGI is behind that algorithm. The best part is, you also saw, or you may have seen, a lot of these life-size paintings of Mona Lisa or Raphael or Michelangelo being brought to real life, and you're able to see the contours of the face of this individual, and you're able to be in shock and awe of how is this actually being done. Now, all of that is being done on a basic principle of trying to see something, how we can connect the dots and make this real. NVIDIA, most of you who don't know, NVIDIA is a company to reckon for, because what they did as experiments, they're converting that into an ethical practice, and they're actually trying to see how we can distinguish truth from fiction. Deepfakes is very interesting, and I think you should look at it for just three things. Can technology shock and awe you? Yes. Apart from deepfakes, what actually shocks and awes me is brain-machine interface. Apart from that, nothing shocks me in terms of technological evolution. The second reason why you should see deepfakes is to understand that, okay, I can propel innovation in an area that will only bring the humanity backward and not forward, because of the lack of use cases and not because the technology is bad. And you learn that through deepfakes. The third thing is, how can we learn from playing with technology and just generating use cases that can just not just be playful and experimentative, but can help us build skill sets. So the last but not the least is your solving your consumer problems. If you look at a lot of these examples that I'm giving you, like for instance, Amazon Go, Soul Machines, and Zipline in Rwanda. I'm going to talk about each one of them. Sometimes bullshit innovation occurs because the intent is great. Like you can see ideas, the intent is great. But when you translate the ideas, it's not yet bulletproof. I don't know if you can see bulletproof. Yeah, you can see bulletproof. It doesn't become bulletproof. So what happens is, you have a fantastic intent to solve the problem. While you're translating it, the world has changed. And when the world has changed, the idea becomes redundant, or the idea has to now combine the current context of the changing world and evolve. I'll give you an example, and this happens to every single student in India. I know the national education policy is a welcome change, but every engineering student, by the time they begin the college, have a certain aspiration for a job, or perhaps an aspiration to do something relevant to their subject that they have chosen. They finish college, and by the time they finish college, the world has changed. The jobs have become either redundant or evolved, or it's actually become more complex, and they become either unemployable or less than employable from the market standard. Story of every year, every batch, not just batch of 2020. In fact, batch of 2020 is more lucky because you now have the opportunity to take control of your time, to take control of your energy and your effort, and actually gain skills from everywhere, because the world is your college, and you just have to sit at home and access this forum in order to learn something interesting from interesting people and interesting challenges. So back to Amazon Go. If you haven't seen Amazon Go, I suggest you pause this video, go to Amazon, go to YouTube or any other channel, and perhaps see the creative or the ad that explains Amazon Go. What if the only living human being inside a store is a customer? And if that customer can shop seamlessly just by the use of technology, and something is obviously tracking your motion and figuring what your choices are, and can actually make the entire retail shopping experience seamless. Great intent, translation very difficult, and they ended up doing one or two stores, but it's not really live yet. But one of the things that they did not solve for is trust. They did not solve for pilferage. They did not solve for the ability for them to scale using that technology, because it may lead to not just job loss, but the ability of human beings to spot irrational behavior was just neutralized. Soul machines, very interesting. All of you have the experience of speaking to a bot. The easiest example of a person speaking to a bot is an IVR, an interactive voice response system, that in the past asked you to press 1, press 2, press 5, press 9, which led to waiting time. Obviously, over the years, we've evolved from IVR to chatbots that we actually use to solve the problems instantly. If you're in India and you're using food aggregator apps, chatbots work very efficiently there. If you are at any part of the world and you're using a CRM software, or you're using some kind of software to interface with your client or your customers, I'm sure you would actually reach out to the so-called helpline. So most service-based businesses, either in software or hardware, has a customer care helpline that they use to troubleshoot or perhaps voice their opinion towards. Long story short, is that the next big thing? Chatbots, if they are humanized, and let's say you just click on a button and a screen pops up and you're speaking to a human being, and that human being solves your problem, there's a great relationship to be built for trust. However, that's not a real human being, that's actually a bot that matches your movement by the way you look at the camera or you gesture at the screen, that can track your micro gestures and move along with the motion that you are making in front of the camera based on the environment, the depth, and perhaps the distance from the lens. Now, a company called Soul Machines are basically offering this as a service. There are great companies from India as well, Unifor, who's trying to revolutionize voice and actually use voice as a tactile mechanism to communicate with your customers. Amongst these three, the last one is the most interesting one that I have, is Zipline Rwanda, who basically use drones to transport medical kits, food, and perhaps blood samples from the most unreachable areas in Africa and perhaps Southeast Asia to connect either inventors or doctors or medical practitioners or social workers with beneficiaries who actually need that kind of communication in a space where telecommunication is a farce, distances are unreachable, and there are huge obstacles between the beneficiary and the benefactor. Now, Zipline is a very interesting company. You should look at them. Why are they exhibited under bullshit innovation then? Why? You speak so much about them. I don't know why you put them under bullshit. They're bullshit only because of two things. From intent or desire to solve a problem to actually solving the problem, there is a lack of execution excellence. Second, very few people are participating in their journey to accelerate that process. By the time they translate the need into a prototype, the market has evolved, people have differential needs, and things have become perhaps redundant. So they don't know what to do with them. Again, innovation for some of these companies are usually done by a concept, and I've seen a lot of them. In fact, I'm part of some of them, and I understand some of the challenges that they go through. Innovation today has become a certification, and these certifications are given by incubators, accelerators, corporate labs. So their biggest reason for existence is they represent the ability of an organization to either anticipate change, assess change, and create products and services for the growing need of consumers, customers, or receivers, or creators. Some of them are truly successful, and the ones that are truly successful are all great with their philosophies and principles, and they are persistent about creating value rather than just creating startups that have great funding and they went on to become unicorns, or they grow on to become large entities with great story of economics and viability rather than impact and sustainability. What have we seen so far? Sorry, I'm just going to take a sip of coffee. Super. What have we seen so far? We've seen that these are some hallmarks of examples of bullshit innovation that's happening, because this is a hackathon that is oriented towards solving social problems where technology is only an enabler. I felt you should have some relative examples for you to learn from about how not to do things. CES is the mother of it all. Kickstarter is slowly changing. Deep fakes, great technology, but careful, careful again. Solving consumer problems is fantastic, but market viability, market share, and execution excellence are very important in converting it from bullshit to non-bullshit. Innovation certification, innovation is not a subject. You can't just learn it, but you can't be educated on it. You have to learn it. The only way to do that is to fall in love with a problem in a lifetime and solve for it, or build systems that will enable the continuous improvement that you had imagined at a very young age, and then move on to a new problem to solve. What have we next? What have we next is something very, very interesting. Now is where we are truly going to be exploring what the purpose of innovation and how innovation should look like. Give me a second. Yes. Perfect. We're on time. So, what does innovation or non-bullshit innovation truly means? What it truly means are these. Are you, and it's in this order, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, and friends from the LGBTQ AI plus community. Is it impact? And I want you to take 10 seconds and think. Who does it really impact? How big is the impact? How deep is the impact? You saw a bunch of bogus acts that I just gave you as examples. And my invitation to you is to start thinking, is it truly useful? Are you sure that this solves the problem? Have you built a minimum useful prototype instead of a minimum viable prototype? Going to market is not as important as delivering value. If you know you've delivered value, if you know you've delivered impact, you will know, because the customer will be delighted when you not present them with a solution. When they experience a solution, you will see a change in their energy, you will see that a change in their intent, and you will truly see a change in their responses. How much time are you spending in understanding how deep am I solving this problem? And that's where something becomes truly useful. Otherwise, it remains, however rational you are, it still remains a bogus act. The next thing, is it sustainable? Are you here to create a flash in the pan? Are you here because you just want to make some quick money, because you don't want to be an employee elsewhere? You're just here because you want great PR publicity, that you're a good human being and everyone likes you. You live in a world that you belong. You've proven what you may have not proven in school or college. Are you here for yourself, or are you here to build a legacy that lives on by you just being in the background? There are so many things that we enjoy today that have been built by people that we don't know who they are, but their need and their solution outlives their identity and the problems that they actually faced. In fact, Madame Curie's Life history is a very important example of this. Alfred Nobel's life, when he realized that he's not doing any good to humanity and actually institutionalizing a platform that could reward, recognize the biggest inventions that change and shift humanity for the betterment is revolutionary. What Dr. Ambedkar did with respect to writing the constitution in such an eloquent fashion by actually having the vision that outlives the entire humanity's survival rate as the largest democracy is just perennial. So is it truly sustainable? Are we truly solving a problem long term? Somebody asked me, what do you mean by long term? Can you give it a number? Can you give it a time frame? The question is, if your solution does not solve the problem for 10 years and above, I don't think you are serious about solving the problem. Are you going to invest 10 years into it in order to see its obvious version control and actually see its evolution to serving a large scale of people at the depth of change and transformation that you want to witness in your lifetime? That's sustainability. Again, like I spoke to you about deep fakes and some of the consumer problems that some of the companies are trying to solve well, but if we embrace them and start utilizing them, our humanity will be better. In case in point example is zipline. I want you to know about something called as an exponential curve. If you don't know what an exponential curve is, technologies over a period of time versus the number of people who are using it forms a curve. That's the exponential curve. All of us have some familiarity to what an exponential curve means in the COVID scenario, because how COVID spreads is exponentially. It doubles its rate of spread in a very short period of time. So it's based on a law. The law is called as Moore's law. And what Moore's law states is, if a technology follows that path, and when the technology hits exponentiality, what it tends to become is it becomes the foundation or a horizontal technology where other technology cross-pollinates with to create useful ideas. Like for instance, today, 3D manufacturing, AI, and most importantly, biotechnology are all horizontals. They were not horizontals 10 years ago. And 10 years, mind you, in the innovation space, it's a very small period of time because that is a sign of exponentiality. I'll give you a hint. 3D printing became prevalent in the 2010 decade. But 3D printing has actually been around since 1975. Most of us didn't know this. That's because, if you'd read the story of the internet, you'd understand that it was an archived property or an exclusive property for the military, which then became DARPA net and which actually expanded to become internet. So if you are in the space and you've seen technology grow, you'll understand what exponential curve is, or you could just read about it right now and understand that there are companies who are growing like technology following the exponential curve, and these are exponential organizations. Why is exponential curve very important? Because there has been a lot of studies that has gone into using exponential curve as a foundation principle for the way you assess technology. Give me 1 second. I'm on live 2 minutes. So these technology are called emergent tech, and these emergent tech is only an enabler. They're not the solution, they're just enablers, and these enablers will only help you propel a solution to scale. So what's the long story short? The long story short of this is, if you use an emergent technology and you have a persistent problem worth solving, if you plug both of them, you will immediately see prototyping at scale. That's the hack that I have for you to offer. Like for instance, today, YouTube is a platform. I can reach out to 10 times more users than one particular room that I might actually put you in. So it's an emergent tech. The emergent tech here is internet. The emergent concept here is platforms, and the emergent concept here is open sourcing that enables me to actually take a persistent problem, which is knowledge transfer or sharing with vulnerability at scale. If you are a leader, you could be a mentor, you could be an organization leader, you could be a CEO, you could be a co-founder, you could be part of an innovation team. The real question that's worth asking is, are you the one who's immersed in the problem? If you're not, and you're the one who's giving the sense of direction, I don't think you'll be able to pull off that act long enough. Are you leading by example? Are you participating in the prototyping process? Are you the individual driving the purpose of that innovation? Are you driving energy? You may not have clarity. None of us know everything, and there is no one who knows everything. So are you supplying the energy that is constructive, that's building something with emotion? And are you the person leading that by example in terms of energy management? And are you immersing yourself in the problem deep enough, so close to your customer that you're able to witness the change in your lifetime? Most people ask me this question. I know I didn't spend a lot of time on leadership because it's straightforward. Is innovation a science? Here's my feedback. Absolute truth. Innovation is not a science. It's not a subject. You can't learn it. Sorry, you can't be educated on it. You can learn it. That's the absolute truth. It's very messy. It's chaotic. Please search for the word VUCA. Innovation is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. As long as you have a beginner's mindset, which helps you to assess change, anticipate the need to be resilient, which is your ability to bounce back, and anti-fragile, which is your ability to withstand the force from the outside. If you learn to build something like that, you have a solution that is resilient and anti-fragile, helps it build the adaptation values for posterity. So building a beginner's mindset is, if you are from social sciences and you want to do something in technology, you're the right person. If you are in technology and you want to do something in economics, you're the right person. Any innovation that you take, right, in the last decade or 2 decades, everything has been disrupted by an individual who's an outsider to that industry. And that is because they were able to start asking questions that are very important for the fundamental shift in the landscape of that technology. So, what do I have to say in summary? In summary, this is what I'm quoting. And I have reasons why I'm quoting this, and I'm going to be very quick and candid about this and not give you the how of it. And I'm sure you will figure it out by prototyping, failing, and getting beaten up, and you will sweat and you will bleed, which is fine. So being innovative is more important than doing innovation. And being is a way of living. It's a way of being. It's a way of, it's like an aura. Are you trying to embrace innovation in all walks of life? If you're looking at it as a work, it will not help you be innovative. Only if you are being innovative can you do innovative things and you can have an innovative life. So most people, who understand innovation, anchor it in their being. They anchor it in who they are and not what they do. That's what being innovative means. Are you empowering your team? You could be leading a team in your hackathon right now. You could be listening to it as a team. You're already in a team called family. You could be part of an organization, a neighborhood. Any change is beyond you. And when you understand and embrace that principle, you understand that you have to empower the core team that impacts that change or who wants to drive that change. It cannot be done alone. Teamwork makes your dreams work. Instead of designing a product or services, can you look at it as an experience, and can you design every experience as a moment and go back and wear your customer's shoe or your user's shoe and go through that journey by understanding at every point in time, how is your user or your customer feeling? Design thinking could be one principle, empathy building can be another principle, just trying to make it lean and efficient and user-friendly is another principle. However, what I wanted to look at it as a journey and not just an offering. Look at it as a relationship and not a result that you're offering. Look at it as a rhythm and not necessarily a rigor that you're trying to build. Can you look at building an ecosystem instead of being someone for somebody? Can you look at being someone for a small group of people and also accumulate different people who are solving other needs? This way you become a collaborator, or in some sense you're a living platform, like a living document. You can become a living platform and build an ecosystem around your user. Any company that has built an ecosystem has always diversified its products and services, and which is nothing but solving diverse problems and addressing diverse needs. Is your team diverse? And what I mean by diverse is, do you have people from different sections of the society? Do you have a customer part of your team who's trying to build a solution? Do you have a person who may have access to depth of information in your team? If you don't have some of them in your team working with you right now, go fetch them, put them together, and give them an emotionally safe environment for them to think about who they are and what they're doing. Agility is speed. Obviously, you hear about it. Hackathon is a space where you learn how to be agile. Organizations are becoming agile. Software building has become agile. But what people don't do a lot are the last three things, which is enable collision. You need to fight a lot. You need to stand up for what you feel is right and not move out of an argument until it's convincing for you. I think you have to, you can't let something go until you've literally bruised yourself. And when you enable collisions, especially in this hackathon, if you don't intervene, interrupt someone and try to understand who they are, I don't think you will ever know the power of the person either interacting with you or in your platform. Always look at unmet needs. There is always someone solving for something. Ask that question when you're trying to build a solution, and when you build that solution, ask the question, who's doing what I want to do? And if you see the space large enough, ask, what are they not solving for? And if it can impact your user at depth, or if it can impact multiple users at scale for that one particular problem, I think you're addressing an unmet need. Finally, there is no rational best exact solution or a perspective to anything. Human beings are irrational, truly irrational. In the last evolutionary space, if you calculate the time the human beings have spent on planet Earth, would hardly be less than 10 minutes, and 10 minutes is an aberration that I'm giving you. Get that. In 10 minutes of human existence, we are like a microsecond or a nanosecond. So the decisions that we take today may impact 10 minutes. However, if you don't get a lot of individuals actually behaving that way, you won't be able to sustain change. So long story short, you are able to see what non-bullshit innovation looks like. I think the organizers will be able to share with you this mind map. This is a tool by MindMeister, and when you're trying to build something, think organically. I suggest using a mind map because it helps you to think around, spatial, wider, and deeper, because nature grows like that. We are all products of nature. I feel human beings are one of the most innovative products of Mother Nature, and we have a moral responsibility to revel in the beauty and be humble in our existence. So, can nature be a great teacher? Question to ponder about. Thank you so much for listening to me.